You by the brand you trust the most, Jolly's Pharmacy. Good morning, good morning. I know many of us were wondering whether that weather would have taken a turn around. And we've seen beautiful sunshine this morning compared to yesterday when many of us were wondering whether there was work and whether we should have reported to work. I did report to work yesterday, but many of us, we got there and it was a bit kind of a go slow because not many people went on yesterday. There were some businesses that were actually closed as well. But today it's a beautiful day and it's business as usual. I do hope that our sister islands up north of us are doing well. And if the pending hurricane is encroaching in their area, that they take all the necessary precautions that would have been um, given to them by their local disaster authority. If you are listening to us for the very first time, good morning to you. We do hope that after today, you will remember to have this particular date with us at 10:15 every Wednesday morning on the big station QFM. Let me say good morning to my co-host, Miss Christian Trudy. Christian, good morning, Trudy.
Carlton, good morning to you. Good morning to our listeners on Q95 FM radio. Carlton, you told them to make sure they set a date. I want to tell our listeners to tell a friend. I know we have some very consistent listeners, but I would like them to bring their friends on board. Tell a friend, tell a family member to tune into Health Vibes on a Wednesday morning because that's where you get all the vibesy health information that is very instrumental for your well-being that you will get nowhere else in no other down-to-earth way as you get it here on Q95 on a Wednesday morning with Jolly's Health Vibes. So I want people to spread the word. Don't keep the good vibes for yourself. Tell your friends and your family members that they must check out Health Vibes on a Wednesday morning.
Definitely. And again, we are happy to have you on. Those of our regular listeners, we have a wide fan base overseas as well. Those of you who are connecting with us this morning, whether it's virtually because we're live on, is that Facebook, Trudy?
Yes, we're live on Facebook and on the YouTube channel of Q95.
Definitely. So you might be wondering, who is this Trudy and who is this Carlton? You can actually view us this morning and see what we look like and see, because I get this every day that particularly people who reside overseas and would visit, they always think that I'm a tall, dark man that looks much older than I am. And that's the perception that they have of me.
You have a tall, dark voice, man, Carlton.
It would seem so. So oftentimes I get this thing, especially the older ladies, they would say, hey, a handsome man, he's so cute. I get that all the time when they see me for the first time, but they often say the voice matches. That is exactly the voice that they hear on the radio.
And we already have people telling us good morning. Good morning to Martina Ray, that is listening from New York.
Yes.
So, they listen in Carlton and they're coming onto Facebook and YouTube as you instructed. So that's a good vibe.
So, just letting you know in terms of happenings at Jolly's Pharmacy that we do have a very attractive back to school promotion that's happening right now, and it's from the brand Decares. You would have, I'm not sure if you know of Decares, but it is primarily a baby line that promotes products that are ideal for your baby. So if you're looking for a petroleum-based jelly, whether it's the original nursery smell, or you're looking for something with aloes or coconut, you can get that. You're looking for the baby oil. You're looking for the diaper rash medicine. You're looking for deodorant. They carry all of this. And so what we're saying to you is once you've purchased or buy three or more items that belongs to the brand Diquez, and that is Diquez. That's the spelling and the pronunciation. You will get a chance to win a scholarship. And actually, it's free scholarships that we're given,
Mm-hmm.
and there are free tiers to it. So the first place is a scholarship value at 2,500 Eastern Caribbean dollars. The second place is 1,250 Eastern Caribbean dollars. And the third place is 1,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. And so it is easy like one, two, and three. You purchase free items from DCares, you write your name, address, and telephone number behind your receipt, you place it in the box that is available at the point of sale by the cashier, and somewhere around August 30th, someone,
Mm-hmm.
at least three people,
Will win.
will win the scholarships that is complements Jolly's Pharmacy and the Cares. And so this promotion goes on until August 30th, the last day in August.
Mm.
And we really want you to take advantage of it. Boxes are also placed at some of our main hubs in Roseau and Portsmouth, and really take advantage. So it's easy as one to free. You purchase three or more items from the brand DeCares, and you will get an opportunity to win a scholarship complements DCares and Jolly's Pharmacy. So we're actually giving free scholarships. The first one, as I said, is amounted to $2,500. The second one, 1,250 Eastern Caribbean dollars. And the third one, 1,000 Eastern Caribbean dollars. And that's it.
Yes, Carlton, it's a back to school giveaway. What if I buy DK's products and I don't have a child going to school? Can I can I enter the giveaway draw
Yes, you can, and we would maybe be really be happy if you're very philanthropic,
to give
and you
it to
will,
a child?
yes, and
Okay,
you would donate
because
that
I
in your
do
name.
because I like DK's the coconut petroleum, the coconut scented
Yes.
petroleum jelly. I like that product. So I'm just wondering, what if I enter the draw? What happens? But it would be a good idea for
Of
real
course.
to give that scholarship to a child if you win and you don't have a child yourself going to
Right.
school.
So you can in the name of your alma mater secondary
Right,
school,
you can give
you
that
can
to a
give, yeah,
child.
that may
Yes,
be entering that
yes,
particular secondary school,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
maybe preferably a child that is really in need,
Right,
you
right,
know.
right. And it's back to school. I mean, people don't want to, especially teachers, yeah, they don't want to think about the fact that school will be reopening soon.
Very
But
soon.
August is definitely the time when you're prepping to get back
Yes.
into those classrooms. Teachers and students, the September rush is soon upon you. So you have to get prepared. And I'm sure scholarship would make it a lot easier for some parent somewhere to send their child back to
I'm
school.
telling you, I have two high schoolers, both of which are scholarship students, and
Mhm.
I'm telling you, it helps me a lot
Or
knowing
of
that I don't have to
course,
buy textbooks,
of
which
course,
are very, very costly. They worked for their scholarships, but that helps a lot.
of
So,
course.
for any person, particularly if you're a guardian, or if you're a parent, and your child would be a recipient of one of these scholarships, you would be very, very happy to would
Correct.
have received that.
Definitely.
All right. So this morning we do have a very important topic to
Hmm.
discuss with you. It is one that is a bit sensitive, but we've always known how to tailor the contents of our topics to make it applicable to you at home. You might be saying, well, 10 foot in the morning, and they're going to be discussing things like that. But these are professional people. We are all professional people. And trust me, we know how to relay the information to you, particularly when it matters to sexual and reproductive health. And that's the area we're going to be focusing on. This morning, we have with us our clinical psychologist, who is going to be one of our technical people this morning contributing to the topic. What we're going to do, we're going to take a short break, and then we will introduce the topic and introduce our guest this morning. Let's take a short break. So you always call me a clinical psychologist. Oh, sorry. Oh, Your type, please. Your type.
Well, I'm a health psychologist
Oh,
with a lot of experience or clinical.
yes. So we're just waiting on the producer to actually take a break. But again, as I said, it's beautiful sunshine in Dominica. If you're wondering what the weather is like, we do have a few people that's online. Trudy, you want to highlight them?
Yes, good morning to Wendell Williams, who has shouted us out there listening from Atlanta. And Deb Prince, always on with us. Deb, I know you're always on listening from Connecticut. Good morning to you. And of course, the others who have not said good morning to us yet, but I see you on Facebook. Good morning to you guys. And now, let's take that break.
Definitely.
Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website www.jollies.tm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollies.tm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Jollies.tm features rush delivery, 1 hour. In-store pickup, regular delivery, 5 p.m. Cut-off time, 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.jollies.tm. Jollies Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare. In healthcare.
Who say health cannot have vibes? Well, Jolly's Pharmacy is proving you otherwise. With Health Vibes, every Wednesday morning on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Health Vibes, education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Hosted by Carlton Lango with co-hosts Jacinta Fagan Defoe and Trudy Kristen. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together every Wednesday, so be sure to tune in. Health Vibes every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website www.jollies.tm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollies.tm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Jollies.tm features rush delivery, 1 hour. In-store pickup, regular delivery, 5 p.m. Cut-off time, 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.jollies.tm. Jollies Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare. Introducing Jolly's Pharmacy, brand new website www.jollies.tm. It's your time to jump the line. Shop now at jollies.tm and have your items delivered in the comfort of your office. No more standing in line. No need to use your lunch hour to shop. Hassle-free shopping, safe and secure. Jollies.tm features rush delivery, 1 hour. In-store pickup, regular delivery, 5 p.m. Cut-off time, 4 p.m. It's your time to jump the line. Visit us at www.jollies.tm. Jollies Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
Who say health cannot have vibes? Well, Jolly's Pharmacy is proving you otherwise. With Health Vibes every Wednesday morning on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Health Vibes, education, information, and a bit of humor. And not forgetting lots of vibes. Hosted by Carlton Lango with co-hosts Jacinta Fagan Defoe and Trudy Kristen. Jolly's Pharmacy is bringing health and vibes together every Wednesday, so be sure to tune in. Health Vibes every Wednesday on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30. Jolly's Pharmacy, leading the way in healthcare.
So we're back with you this morning on Health Vibes, and let me say a special good morning to my friend Mervin. If you are busy at this time, I do hope that you are tuning to Health Vibes. This morning, we are going to be focusing on sexual reproductive health, but more specifically, we will be asking the question, why good sex matters? Why good sex matters? And oftentimes, we are often nervous, anxious, embarrassed, uncomfortable to discuss sex. Sex as an activity, sex in terms of cohesiveness, and fostering greater and deeper um, affection to each other. Um, Sex relating to issues of dissatisfaction. Sex refers to matters of
Intimacy.
intimacy,
Mhm.
yes. And oftentimes it's kind of difficult to have that conversation. And merely maybe because it's how we were socialized,
Right.
where even as children, we were just taught the theoretical aspect of sexual health. Well, this is your penis, this is your vagina, this is how to take care of them. And when you get a certain age, you will experience what we call a period or menstrual cycle. And when you are that age as a male, you may experience a wet dream. And this is generally the kind of information that was translated to us or given to us. No one ever taught us what it is to kiss somebody or what it's going to feel like or how you go about kissing somebody. No one ever taught us what sex really involves and what to do when the time comes. It's like innately we just did it. And something happened, we felt something. Some of us may have produced a baby due to that action. And that's what we experienced. And so this morning, we want to actually look at how to talk about sex with your partner and why good sex matters. So we have with us a health psychologist,
Mm.
Mr. Lester Guy. Lester is someone that we've had before. He is a
He's a Health
psychologist.
Vibes regular.
Yes. And he's someone that really does a lot of work relating to sexuality and sexual
Reproductive health.
reproductive health,
Mhm.
sexual confusion. You may be someone that has difficulty relating to issues with sex or um, understanding your own sexuality, matters like that, and you're looking for a psychologist that you can have that consultation with. Again, Lester Guy is the guy. He is
He is the
Lester
guy.
is the guy. He is the guy for that. And what I like personally, and I will say that what I like about Lester is that Lester is very sort of relatable. He is the regular looking psychologist. Most times you think of a psychologist and you're thinking of a white coat and you're thinking of a guy with tie, and you get to this office and it's all clinical. Nah, this guy makes you very comfortable, and he makes the conversation very relatable. And so, with all of what I've said about him, I'm going to introduce our host, or actually our guest this morning, Mr. Guy. Lester, good morning to you.
Hi, good morning, Carlton, and good morning, Judy, and good morning to everyone who's listening. I know I've heard so many good reviews about your program.
Thank you.
It's just so good, and I wish I could join you guys as often as possible.
But you're a busy
you know,
man.
sometimes, yeah, there are other priorities. But I think it's quite a pleasure to be with you guys today. I think the topic is right on point. And let me say to you guys, I want to commend you though for having those type of topics. Sex still remains a major taboo here in our society, and until we start breaking the barriers, people will not feel comfortable talking about it.
Mhm.
In fact, I just recently did some training with some healthcare providers on just something stigma and discrimination. And one of the things that you find out is that stigma and discrimination, especially when it comes to sexually transmitted infections, you have the challenge based on the fact that they are sexually transmitted infection. Just the whole idea of the sexuality and sexual stuff that's surrounding them, that's where you have one of the challenges. So I'm really glad that you guys are taking the opportunity to speak a little more about those type of topics. Judy was mentioning that she and Jael used to have some program. I used to have a program also with one of these other young women from Kyrie FM. It used to be called Orgasm. We're trying to get people more cool as we say,
Yes.
local parents talking about sex and so on. So I'm really happy to be with you guys this morning.
Right.
Carlton and Julie.
And Carlton mentioned, sometimes in growing up we may have just heard minimal information about our reproductive selves or sexual reproductive organs. Carlton, some of the things you mentioned, most people didn't even get that information from
Well,
parents.
and
This
and you're
whole
a biology
the
major.
whole concept about young men having wet dream. Trust me, many people grow up without even that being discussed. So this topic is so important because a lot of people do enter relationships or do enter adult life without having any foundational discussion about sex, about the sexuality, about expectations, about risks even. So I'm so happy, and Lester is the one that can really help us to lay it down nice and simple this morning on this program.
Mhm. But let me just begin by reading a key point there, and then Lester will definitely take it on. It says, "Good sex doesn't always just happen. It often requires ongoing communication.
Mhm.
Partners who create lifelong sexual potential learn to lean into the edges of difficult conversations and confront issues head on. If people speak more honestly about sex, needs, and wants, for closeness and connection would be better met. Think about what you want to create together. Remember that taking risk is key to expanding sexual potential." Now that last one there
Taking
is
risk.
very deep. Remember that
Mm.
taking risk is key to expanding sexual potential.
Mm.
So the question is, why good sex matters?
Excellent. So let's take it from a basic point of view before we delve into what you've read right now. And I think it's really good what it say, and communication is the key. I will tell you that. It may seem like something that is very simple, but communication is always the key as to where you want to find yourself. We don't want to also take the idea of taking a risk out of context. So let's home it down to taking risk as to exploring what
Uh-huh.
you done before.
Right.
Yes. So you have to also look at it from that perspective.
Mhm.
But let's just wind back just a little and see. First of all, our question is, why are we having sex?
Mm.
That's the question that's always asked. Yeah. And when we look at the 4 to 5 things that we look at when it comes to sex is about intimacy, number one. Yes, you connect to someone. So there's intimacy there. And intimacy falls under one of the basic needs that we have. If we look at Maslow's hierarchy of need of love and belonging, intimacy is key. Yeah. So we also have sex for pleasure. Obviously, we are one of the species who are gifted enough to have sex for pleasure. So we don't always do sex because we have an end game. We are doing it because we want to enjoy ourselves.
Right.
Yeah. Sex is also for reproduction.
Mhm.
And sex also comes with a level of responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at these 4 points, and when you look at pleasure, we talk about the amount of relief that you get because your body is going to release other biochemical stuff that's going to make you feel good about yourself. Sex also comes with talking about self-image. Because if I go home and my wife or my girlfriend or my significant other is not appealing to me, then it's not something I'm going to jump at. Yeah. So we look at how much it builds your self-image as someone who's in the act of sex, and how the person who's receiving it is responding to how you treat them.
Right.
Yes. So we look at those 4 things and we can build everything else on that.
Mm-hmm.
In your relationship, what does sex constitute for you, the sexual activity? It will depend again on what it is for and how you're going to enjoy it. Because if I'm just having sex because me and my significant other is trying to get pregnant, it's not about pleasure this time. It's about reproduction.
Yes,
We
yes,
have to
yes.
look at when, temperature,
Yeah, the timing.
all of
Mhm.
the things, the timing. So it becomes something that is more a responsibility of wanting to an ends meet by having or getting pregnant as a couple.
Mm-hmm.
That's totally different from when I meet a woman where I am sexually attracted to and I want to spend that moment and it's all about the pleasure. So that is one of the reasons we have to look at it broadly, to the general public, where it becomes good or it becomes important based on where you're at.
So it's all about the functionality
It's
at that
function
stage.
at that stage. Relationship.
Mhm.
Yeah. And that's why you find a lot of times with new couples, the whole experience is different when you initiate a relationship than when you settle into the relationship. Where before we could do it anywhere, anytime. But then we've changed now because we're comfortable with each other. We look to, well, you're sweaty today. I'm not up to it. Let me go and shower. When before it could be we meet anywhere and wham bam, thank you, ma'am. So that is going to tell you how this thing is going to build and how your sexual life is going to be in the near distant future with your partner. No matter what your partner is, if it's a same-sex relationship, if it's a heterosexual relationship, no matter what it is, it's going to determine how you move forward. Now, this is another really good point that you read. It doesn't come overnight, right? From what you read, it doesn't come overnight. It's something that you have to put effort into maintaining.
True.
Because there's a word that I use so many times when I talk about sexual activity, the familiarity. When you get familiar with somebody, I know exactly what to do to get you over the hill. I'm tired, I'm just going to do it, get you over the hill and go to bed. You understand? Which is different from, okay, tonight is your birthday, we're going to make love. It's totally different. So it's going to be decided how much you're going to enjoy that moment based on what you're doing it for, when you're doing it for.
So it's almost like you're talking about there has to be an effort.
There always have to
It cannot be just about almost like it's it's like my responsibility, so I'm just going to do it. But it's like really and truly, spiritually and emotionally, you're not really infused. You're not really into it.
That's it. And there are days like that. You come home from work and you're tired, and your partner wants loving. It's your responsibility to be there for that person, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to put all of that effort that specific night. That happens a lot.
And so that is, well, you see, so I want to go back now to in Carlton's, what Carlton read, the aspect about communication, because in a lot of what you're saying, Lester, I'm hearing the repeated need for communication, because you're talking about, for instance, a partner may be having a particular need, the other partner is, maybe tired or not in that mental state. What is the communication, therefore, that's necessary to ensure that both people are satisfied, or both people are, in a good state of mind after their engagement, if both of them have different needs at that time?
Exactly. So, and that's why I have an asterisk at communication. And guys, forgive me if I have people. I love teaching.
Yeah, I understand.
I love teaching. Communication is key. All how you look at it. And guess what? I'm having a conversation with somebody some time back, and I'm just using some experience. And I say, it's never been difficult for me to say, there's a woman that I see that I'm attracted to, and I let you know I'm attracted to you. I don't want us to become friends. And 6 years down, I say, actually, boy, I always like you that way. Yeah, but let's talk about now you're telling me that. Well, they make me feel uncomfortable. So all the time we hanging out with each other. No, I said, I let you know. So the day that the opportunity presents itself, you're not going to feel so uncomfortable because I've expressed, you may be able to stand me off for a while, but at the back of your mind that I have had that interest in you. So it doesn't put us in an uncomfortable situation. So that's the thing about communication. And when you look at it from a couple's point of view, guess what? Carlton made some really important point a while ago. Because we look at sex from a specific level. Look at it. I learned that masturbation is a normal, so emotional sexual development stage that children will go through. But guess what? If anybody when we were younger knew that we were masturbating, it was blown.
I know.
And it's taboo.
I know.
You understand?
And again, even the church speaks against it.
Exactly.
And so we talk about how religion influences our behaviors.
That's a normal physiological development stage of children, because more than 70% of us, if we are not so ingrained in this religious thing, have felt how it is to play for our nipples at a certain age, to play for penis over at a certain, and it feels pleasurable. That's you developing. That's normal. Psychology teaches that's normal, Carlton. There's nothing wrong with it. Once it's not done excessively, it's not done in the wrong place. You have to find out your body. And even so, even women right now, and if you look at research, sometimes 75% of women don't experience climax.
Men are shocked at that. TLS, I want you to repeat that on the radio because
I'm telling you.
because anytime I've had this type of conversation with men, they don't understand it.
Exactly.
And I know it's a fact.
And maybe they don't see the need for it. Maybe they think,
No,
well,
it-
because you may have been groaning and moaning that you were satisfied, but not recognizing that an orgasm is just as important to a female as it is to a male.
Guess what? Yesterday we were having a discussion, and it's so interesting, Carlton. So if you've ever seen the word hysteria, you would think that it's just a pure psychological term. Yeah? Do you know that one of the what psychology early cycle was about was hysteria was saying women, because they were active when they were having a climax, they found there was something wrong about it. Because the role of women at the time was for reproduction.
Reproduce.
Not supposed to enjoy sex.
Beside that,
And then they realize that when women are climaxing, they're gonna change, they're gonna flap around like a four-wheel head. It's so good. And there was this whole research done on this whole thing of why women are responding that way. So guess what? The same thing at the time in our society is still saying you're supposed to behave a specific way in sex because men are supposed to get pleasure out of it and women are supposed to live back.
I get you.
You see? It's until more research was done and they realized that this is a normal physiological response. Even wet dreams. I remember as a young man, if your friend is knew you had a wet dream and you woke up in the morning and you didn't recognize, they used to make fun of you.
Yeah.
That's a normal physiological thing to do
True.
with sex also.
Yeah.
So see how sometimes when we are not knowledgeable and how society looks at things, socioculturally we look at stuff, how it prevents you now from exploring a little more and knowing more. So when we come back to what constitutes good sex for us, we have to think of now, where do I fit on this continuum of why I'm having sex with my husband or my wife or my significant other? What are the roles? How do we communicate our needs? And how do we feel satisfied at the end of it?
But Lester, I want to ask you though, because as we're on female and orgasm, the issue too is that most men are more physiological than women are. Women are more emotional. And when a woman becomes intimate with you, it's like she's given the best gift that she can of herself to you. Whereas most of us, men generally, is just a relief. Now, if a woman is not feeling safe or special or feels that she's cherished,
Oh dear.
these are some factors to why maybe she may not ever get an orgasm.
That is true.
because she's just going through the
In that
choke,
mental
right? But
space.
she's not really feeling the vibe.
That's
She's
an
not
important
feeling
point.
intimately, and that's why we talk about intimacy. Intimately safe
Right.
and secure with you.
Okay.
So sometimes too, it's not merely just a physiological thing, but that's where the communication again.
I was
should come in.
going to say that too.
So again, and wonderful point. And I'm really happy, and I'll tell you why. When we take each of the 4 points that we've made, intimacy, which is comfort and giving of themselves, we look at pleasure, we look at reproduction, and we look at responsibility. Each of these, we can break each one down and see how a woman is going to feel in the given situation. So, for example, when you look at intimacy, which is totally correct, a woman's physiological body is going to respond to you if she feels connected to you emotionally. It's easier now for her to let loose and feel comfortable. And guess what? I know from my experience and through my professional experience, the more relaxed a woman is with you, when you're having sexual intercourse with her, the more likelihood she'll let loose and she will get to that point.
True.
Yes? Because right now she feels safe with who she is. But guess what? Because we are changing how we look at sex right now, and sex has become a little more out there,
Mhm.
women who seek sex only for pleasure most times are more familiar with their bodies than women who aren't just taking it for pleasure.
Mm.
Because we've moved away from this arcade thinking about sex, and women tell you know what, we're friends with benefit, we have no strings attached, we're fuck friends.
Mhm.
Most of these women, when they come and have sexual intercourse with you, they're gonna have an orgasm. You know that because they're more comfortable with themselves.
Mhm.
I'm coming to have sex with you for pleasure. You take me over the line,
And most of these women too will also have their sex toys.
and they have this sexual,
Right.
which
So
means
then
they
they mean
know
that-
their body
right.
a lot better. You see, so all of those little things. Then, if we look at it from a reproduction point of view, obviously it's just reproduction. You want to make sure it's at the time that you're having it, you're ovulating, right temperature, right place, right position, and all of those things. But guess what? When we talk about sex now, where it's a responsibility, or we talk about even sex workers, that's another thing.
I see we have a caller already. Let's take this call. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning to you, sir. Good
Good
morning.
morning, my good friend Alton.
Good morning to you.
And to your good friend, good morning.
Good morning.
And good morning to your guest.
Good morning,
Yes.
sir. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, sir. I like you trend the way. I have two questions for you. Two.
Listen.
I hope they're not too difficult. One is, does women usually get in heat like animals do? That's one question. The other one is, I want to find out better. When animals have intercourse with other animals and the female gets pregnant, the male is never alone. This is good. But when a woman gets pregnant, the man still continue having sex with her, sometimes until she gets the baby. Why is our behavior different from the animals? Tell me.
Okay. So that's the
Interesting.
first question.
Interesting.
Yes.
The first one was if thank you, caller. The first question was about women experiencing heat.
Do they have an oistrous period similar
Right.
to that of like an animal would? Yes.
Violet.
You guys would find it so amazing
I-
that for the past 2 days, I've been having conversations like that
Mhm.
with friends of mine. Yeah. And the one I spoke about, the hysteria, being hysterical and so on, the one that he's asking right now. So, two things you have to take into consideration. There are times when women will, based on the hormonal system, how the hormones are, they're gonna peak.
Right.
Meaning that they're gonna feel more inclined to have sexual activities. Right?
I was going to say
So-
that's a clear biological
Yes.
response of yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
Ovulation
yes.
for women
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
is a lot of women when they're ovulating, they're gonna feel a lot more inclined to have sex.
Mhm.
Why do you think that's gonna
That's
happen?
correct.
Because their body is ovulating, and from a biological point of view, once you're ovulating, reproduction is in play. That's biological.
Lest I would tell my students that is the great design. That's by design.
That's by
Yeah.
design.
So you desire sex at that time because
That's
by design that's when you can get pregnant.
Pregnant. Yes.
So that's how God has
That's it.
made it
Yes.
possible for the our human line to continue.
Excellent.
If you didn't want sex when you're
That's it.
ovulating, we wouldn't get pregnant
That's it.
ever.
Yeah.
That
Mhm.
is so important. So that
Yeah.
is by design.
Mhm.
The other one we have to also bear in mind, and that's why I said in the beginning of our discussion, the human race or this human species is one of the only species, from the free species
That have sex for
that only have
pleasure.
sex for pleasure.
Pleasure.
Right.
Yes.
We are higher intellectual beings
Mm-hmm.
than animals. So a dog crosses, a lion crosses, and they move on because during that period, that's their mating season.
Mm-hmm.
For us, we don't have a quote unquote mating season because every month you're gonna ovulate.
Mhm.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
You understand?
Mhm.
Every month you're gonna ovulate. And it also means that the aspect of the pleasure and responsibility come I have my husband or I have my wife. Even
Comes
if
with
she's pregnant,
responsibility. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I know that my husband, if I'm a woman, that my husband still wants sex.
True.
So even if I'm pregnant already, I know that it's my responsibility that if he's feeling for sex, that I will give him sex.
Mhm.
And it doesn't mean it's not going to be pleasurable for me as a
And the
woman.
woman at pregnant would still need pleasure and still
That's what I'm
require,
saying.
And and again, most gynecologists would recommend
Would
it.
Right.
as going
actually.
to- right.
Because it releases a little hormone.
Yeah.
Especially sometimes I've seen situations where women have said, the gynecologist tell them, well, you're about 35, 34 weeks. Have
Mhm.
sex with your husband because it kind of increases hormones.
Yeah.
That's going to cause your body to contract.
The
Yes.
uterus
And
to
to want
contract,
to-
correct.
Yes.
So you see, see how simple it is.
Mhm.
Now the other thing is this: because we're high intellectual being, we're gonna have sex at our whims and fancy.
Mhm.
We don't need a season like the animals do to have sex. That's very important. So I hope I answered his question.
Yes, you did.
You
You
did.
did.
You did.
You understand? But look at another aspect of it. During ovulation, a lot of women may feel for sexual encounters more. Some women is while they have their period.
Right. It's
Mhm.
different.
It's different.
Or right before the period. So
Or
it
right
just
before the
depends on
period.
what the hormones do to
Right.
are doing to you.
Also has to do with how you're sexually socialized.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
That's true.
Your first set of sexual encounters,
Mhm.
Mm.
how they were, when they were, and how your body is going to respond moving forward.
Ah, okay.
You're very correct.
So that is an important
Because
aspect.
I will give you an example. I remember someone coming to see me, some years ago, and this individual, it's a female, she was molested, right? And but it was done to her in a very vile way, and to her, she expected every other partner to her that she has had to treat her the very same way, to give her that level of pleasure.
All right. Yep.
You understand?
Mhm.
And it was someone that had to recommend for therapy and so on to see somebody. But and their partner was suffering because it's like she felt like she wanted to feel like she wanted to scream down the whole place and feel like you like kill me then.
Yes.
You understand? So
Yes,
that the
yes,
point
yes.
that you're making there makes a lot of sense. It's how you were socialized.
From a sexual point of view.
Mhm.
And that will tell you if the sex is good. Because it may be at times you're comfortable with you and your husband on the bed and all you have all the time in the world. It may be you like your little back shot at the back of a car. That turns you on a lot more. Because the first sexual encounters you are where we have to be what we just call in local parlance, bully shash.
Mm.
And that's a turn on for you.
Mhm.
You understand? But no, because you have a partner who feels that I don't need to be taking a chance with you, the communication comes into play. What works for you now?
And that is, Lester, that is where I have wanted to ask a question, because we're talking about how to talk to your partner about sex, why good sex matters. So how do you broach that particular topic? This is maybe what we are accustomed of doing, or this is what you may be used to doing, but that is not my major turn on. This is something else, Lester, like you just mentioned, may be what I desire. A lot of people have a problem communicating that. So what is the technique? What is this, what tips can you give for people to be able to broach these sort of topics with their partner? And I think a lot of people would be listening very intently to hear what
They
you
may
have
not
to say.
call, but they'll be listening.
The thing is, yeah, truly,
Mhm.
and that is and that's why I like Carlton mentioning therapists all the time. There are some things what will work for you and somebody else will not work for to other people. And that is where the challenge is sometimes knowing. And let me show you guys how I kind of bridge that subject with people. Even for HIV testing, and let me just punch that in. When you come and do HIV testing, you've had a conversation with a professional about your
Yes.
sexual activities. Now that you've had that conversation with the person, if the professional, it's easy now to bridge the subject with your partner because you have a level of know-how to start the conversation. So if I've never been tested, you've never been tested, but I want to get tested. Now I can say, you know what, Julie, I want to get tested at National HIV Unit. Let's talk about what the gentleman or the gentle lady said. I can bridge the subject.
Mm.
You see? So now that we're on the radio and somebody's having difficulties with their husband or the significant other, you can say, I listen to Carlton on the radio. I think so and so and so. So you
It's
bridge
a good
the
conversation
subject.
opener.
Right.
That's
Right.
because it's not everybody feels they can come to their partners and talk about specific things.
Mhm.
You see, you have to look for the opening. So I can give what works for you and Carlton, but for me and Jane might be totally different. You have to be in front of me to say, okay, tell me where you guys are. And I can guide you.
Right.
I can
Right.
guide you. You see?
I like that. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Hello, morning, Carlton and Trudy.
Good morning to you, my
How are
dear.
you and Lester Guy?
We're doing quite well.
Okay, I don't know Lester Guy, but I like the way he brings his topic across. I've been listening to him for a little while once he spoke on his and WhatsApp. What I call to ask, we are talking about communication, but then you have some women, so they probably were raped, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then some point in time they get married. No, I know some of them know when to have sex with their husband. They have a problem. And so every time they remember in that rape, they don't even want the husband to touch them. That type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how do you get both of them? How do you deal with that? Because for that woman, it might take her a little while. You understand? To
Mm-hmm.
get into the for her husband. Every time probably she goes to have sex with her husband, but she remembers that. So what would be your advice to people like that? How do they get over that kind of problem?
Good
Thank
question.
you.
Very good question. Very good question. And I talk about that so many
Mhm.
times when I'm addressing sexual and reproductive health. If you guys know the number of women that you meet on the street here in Dominica, until you have an intimate conversation with them on a professional level, that you would know that they were sexually assaulted.
Mm.
More women than you think.
Mhm.
And that's why I always tell couples, no matter who you are, what religion you are, what sect you are, if you're going to get married, have a conversation, at least a session or two with a therapist. It don't have to be your faith-based organization therapist, because I'm not saying that that's all the time. It happens later. God will work it out for you. No,
Mhm.
there are some things that have to be brought on the table so
True.
the person understands. Because if you find a husband who's not supportive and not nurturing, you're going to have a problem for the rest of your life.
Very true.
You have to have a way of bringing that in a safe space with an objective or professional person to say, this has been my experience when I was 15, 16, or 17. And moving forward, there are things that I've realized that when me and my, let's say your fiance are doing that you're not comfortable with, that moving forward, we need to mitigate, we need to find a way to resolve it. Because you're not going to get in a point of getting married to somebody, again, based on our society, unless you come from a very strong Christian background, that you're not going to already have had sexual encounters.
Mm-hmm.
See? So
And,
you have to
and,
look
and
at it
again,
that
the
way.
Christian background would have taught you that you have to preserve yourself until marriage.
That's the thing.
So, in a sense, you would have had no experience
No
with sex.
experience.
Let's be real. Based on
You
the,
may not have
the,
that
the
experience.
biblical
Yes.
teachings,
Right.
that both of us would have to be virgins
Mhm.
and have to find our way to explore. But then, even before, even as a virgin, things could have happened to you, because a lot of the times it's not necessarily just the physical abuse.
Mhm.
You could have been inappropriately touched,
That's it.
so you may not have been penetrated,
Mhm.
but you could have been groomed. You could have been introduced to pornography. You could have been, you understand?
Yes.
So I think the discussion and from the variables will have to be expanded, because a lot of the times, and I like the fact that you are you are bringing it out from an organic standpoint, and not having it prejudiced by you know uh, a particular ideology, because a lot of the times, based on ideologies, it influences our behaviors.
That is true. That is correct.
So I like that. But I know Trudy was asking that
That
question.
question.
Like, for example, because I see a lot of people who come to see me, people come to see me all the time, and we have those kind of issues. You may have a couple, the husband may be very experienced and extrinsic. The wife might be very, very conservative,
Mhm.
and could see sex happening only in our house at a particular time. We're not doing this. I'm not into that. I'm not into this. I'm not into that. And then this man is suffering, and may even tend to, because I know a situation where people watch pornography
Mhm.
to satisfy them. They have somebody right there in the house, but that person doesn't want to do the things that they want, and may have to resort to doing other things to satisfy themselves. And that's the kind of, how do we bridge that gap? When does the conversation begin? Where does the conversation begin?
And I want to interject. I always have, I mean, it's a very good question, Carlton, but as it relates to when does the conversation begin, it always amazes me at how did the commitment happen without that conversation in the first place. How did you get married or make a commitment without with that you know disconnect, I would call it, between what you want and what your partner thinks is how things should be. So that is a very good question. I just wanted to add the concept of how did the commitment even happen without the conversation.
Yeah, and that's the thing, because people don't want to have the conversation about sex,
They don't want
about
to.
sexual encounters. They don't want to have the conversation. They feel that because I'm attracted to you and you're attracted to me, it just automatically work itself out.
And he met me
That
so.
doesn't happen.
But he met me so. He met me at my mother home.
Always be a challenge.
You understand? He met me at my mother home. And
Always be a challenge. And there's 3 points that I'm going to highlight.
Mhm.
One, so we asked a question a while ago about, certain men feel that they know the game and all they can do will bring satisfaction to you. Yeah? So guess what? I use myself as an example. When you're between 20 and 30, you're young cocks, sparrow, I would say. You feel that every woman you meet, you can take them over the edge. You understand? When you reach 45, you realize it's not about you, it's about the person. And if you cannot make that paradigm shift in your mind to think that the sex is not just about your satisfaction and what you can prove, it's about how satisfied is that woman in your life is, then it shifts. Because as a young man, you want to go behind everything. You maybe had a sex with a little friend or 2 little friends, and you make them come, and you think that every other woman you pick up will respond to you that way. That's not altogether true. So that's number one. You have to make the shift. Your body changes. You're going to meet more mature women who knows their body better than you. And that's the best thing about sex. For me, is when I meet a woman who knows her body. We're already emotionally connected. It means that getting you over the line not going to take me, because you know what you want.
True.
I'm not telling you I don't come with my level of experience, but you know what you want. So you know your body better than I do. So that's number one. So shifting your thought. Pornography is another one that sometimes, especially young people, get this misconception about pornography and what good sex is supposed to be. I can never forget, I went to a high school once and we were doing some teaching and behavioral change communication. And one of the young men asked and said that he heard that once a woman does not squirt, she's not enjoying sex.
Right.
That is not true.
That's
But
very
he may
common,
have seen
Lester.
that from pornography. You understand? Good. There's another aspect that Carlton mentioned, which is for me is very important, and that's again from experience having spoken to people. This friend who I've known from since I was a child, good with women. Women just drift toward that person. And eventually the person got married, and I asked a question. I said, how do you do it? How satisfied are you when you've had so much sexual encounters with multiple sexual partners? And now you have to settle for, that's the one person I'm going to have for the next couple of years. How do you manage? And honestly, he said to me, it's difficult. Of course, it's going to be
That's
difficult.
good conversation to have.
Because it means that you've had Jane, Janice, Joanne, Jennifer, all of those, and
All of them
all
with
of the
J's.
experiences. It's you want to remember. All of the experiences that brought you, but you met this woman that you're emotionally attached to. But the sexual compatibility is not how you were with Janice and
Jennifer.
And you have to tell your mind, yeah, I have to settle because this is the woman that I decided to settle with. It is going to take a lot from you. And because you come with that so much more sexual experience, you would think, okay, I'm going to be the dominant one. But it doesn't necessarily mean that that's what Susan is enjoying all the time. How does now Susan, who feels that I'm all in love with Mr. Guy because he's all manly and all alpha, but I'm still not 100% satisfied? How do I tell him, when you're doing this, I'd rather you do it that way? Communication again, because you may kiss one person on the nipple and they're all over the world, and you may kiss another person on the nipple, and that's not
It does
the
nothing.
point.
Yeah.
We have a caller. Let's take this caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
I have one last question.
Yes, ma'am.
As Trudy said, when we were growing up, they taught us the basics, about your body. Some of us didn't get all that. Tell your body, your vagina, your this, your that. when your period come, all they used to tell you don't talk to boys.
Mm-hmm,
You know that
mm-hmm.
type of story. What I'm asking now, it's a different era now. I mean, you have internet, the children go and watch what. But I want to ask Mr. Guy, do you have any program in place for parents? Because you still have parents that cannot talk to their children about sex, you know that. So, do you have any program in place so you can call parents and begin to talk to them and tell them how to bring it down to the children, how to talk to them? You get into you start small and then you're moving up, you understand? Because we still have some parents that just not that just cannot speak to their children. When they reach, they tell you about the vagina, the penis, but after that they cannot go further. For example, if you have sex, you might get pregnant. You know what I mean, Mr. Guy? You know that
Yes.
whole process.
Thank you. I see we have another caller before he answers.
No, we
Caller,
lost that
feel
call.
free to call. The numbers are 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097, 616-4257. You're welcome to call us. Even if you're overseas, that number is 304-432-9624. 305 rather. 305-432-9624. These are the numbers. Mr. Guy.
Guess what? Yes. But you have to reach out. You have to reach out. I love doing those things, Carlton. But you have to reach out, truly. I'm at the National HIV unit, and there are times I'm sitting at the office and I wish I could have that opportunity to have this discussion with parents.
Yes.
Because there's so much they can give, and you don't want them to give the children the wrong information. Call 266-5812, 266-5813, 266-5915, 266-5914. Ask Mr. Guy to come talk to your people. Come talk to your children. Ask the schools, Judy, to invite me to the PTA meetings. I will talk to them. Because it's not all conversations they can have with their children.
Right.
When you are, in fact, I'm supposed to go to La Plaine next week on the 19th.
I'm supposed to be in La
Because
Plaine too.
what they're doing is that a lot of the children who are going to transition into high school, I'm going to talk to them about whatever they want me to talk to them about.
Yes. I see we have another caller. Let's see. I hope the caller doesn't move. Let's see. All right. They
Yes,
seem to.
we
Yeah.
lost
Feel
that
free to
call.
call back. We will take your call as soon as we get that signal. But we were talking about how we can bridge that gap. So you have couples. I mean, believe it or not, even hygiene issues is a major barrier in relationships and sex. Somebody may not like a smell and feel they cannot tell the partner at all. They cannot tell the person, I don't like, or I smelled something, or I recognize a particular smell, or I don't like the pubic hairs, or I don't like XYZ. And that becomes a barrier. And nobody wants to talk about it. And so, you find that there is this disconnect. So how can we bridge that? How can we bridge that? You have somebody who is conservative and somebody who is more extrovert and want to explore things, but there isn't that compromise.
So those ones, again, as I said, is depending on the people who was in front of you. But one of the things that I've learned with couples, in fact, family members. So I grew up with a mom who, if you're smelling like a little bird, she'll tell you smell like a little bird.
I see we have the caller. Let's take the caller quickly before they. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Yes, Christian.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes. What I'm calling to say, I know of a young lady. She's now married. She has 2 children, but she was molested.
We miss you. Something went wrong. You there? Yeah, we seem to. Sorry about that.
Try. Yes, you need to
Yes.
try again.
So let's jump straight back into the question before the caller calls back. Right? If you know someone cares about you, when and if they tell you something, she's back.
Yes, she's back. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling. Good morning, caller.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, good morning to you, miss.
I just want to say another good topic because that will make a lot of young women and men learn. Because especially when we talk about when people married, like some of them don't talking about their husband and especially girlfriend, boyfriend too. Because that is a thing, sex is a thing, I mean, when you have your boyfriend or your husband, I mean, you have to be a feeling just like both of us have to give one another feeling. But sometimes some of them don't have sex with you and like you're not feeling nothing. Like, they just want to go where they're supposed to go. You're supposed to, I don't talk on the radio, I'm not feeling. But they don't really want to be to feelings. But when you get a man, I think it's feelings. You'll enjoy your sex and whatever and things. So you can, can stay with him. But especially when you see they come in your life and like they just want to bam bam. You don't even get feeling for sex. Like as you're sex, it's better just stay by yourself because you don't really get interested in what they do. You understand? Like you're checking, boy, I do like sex now because that's not nice again. You understand? So I just called to tell you that.
All right.
That's my opinion.
Good, yes. Thank you, caller.
Thank you.
But yeah, that's a good point, and it comes back to experience too, because some people may be in situations where they say they don't like sex or they're not interested in sex, but it's because the experience is not good and they don't know how to even, to bridge the subject. Yes.
So if I say to you, okay, so you know what, Lester, this one I want to speak to you about. I don't want you to feel uncomfortable because I care about you and I'm the one telling you that and somebody else. I find in the morning when you wake up, your morning breath is a little strong. Right? I can do that. Now, I can decide not to get angry at my girlfriend or my wife for telling me something like that. Or I can say, well, yeah, I really need to reconsider. Maybe I need to go to the dentist. You can try, the most you can do is try to say it with as much love and concern, and let the person know that you have their best interest at heart. If I just tell you, every time you wake up in the morning, one of the things, so we're in a quarrel, one of the guys I hate about you, he doesn't clean your teeth and whatever.
Right.
That's why that's totally different.
That's make the person
because
feel
you're attacking my person right now.
Right.
Yes.
But if you tell it to me out of love and concern, it's my responsibility now to take that information and say, what do I do to change to make the person? Because if I care about you, it means that sometime in the morning I'm going to want to kiss you on your mouth. It may not be a full kiss, but kiss you will remind you that I love you, but you don't feel comfortable with it. So you have to give each other the opportunity that if and when they bring up stuff to you, that they're doing it out of love. Now, that's not a guarantee. Again, as I would say, it's dependent on the two people and what the communication is. You see? So I could give you the tips for stuff like that to have a conversation with somebody.
But it's subjective.
But it's very subjective.
Yeah.
Right,
Because it depends person to person.
But what I will tell the general public to, when and if you're telling the people that you care about, you care about any of those things, do it with as much love and remind them it's because you have their best interest at heart.
Right,
Be sensitive.
Be sensitive.
And I think maturity has to come in play
That's true.
too, because
That's very true.
that is a
Maturity.
mature sort of approach to communication, and not everybody is at that maturity level where they can even do that. So maturity is also so critical in being able to have these sort of conversations with your partner. It's definitely important. Let's say there was something I wanted to bring up. It stemmed from a previous comment, but it was to do with, once again, sexual experience. Some people may come into a relationship, they don't have sexual experience otherwise. So what they learn in that relationship, that's what they know. Others may come in with sexual experiences from other people and certain experiences that they may have enjoyed, or certain, I would say, preferences that they had gotten used to in previous relationships. And then they're in a different relationship now, and that particular preference, their partner is not,
open to that.
open to it, or is not providing that. And but they have been socialized, cultured to think that is what good sex would entail. This action or that action, and this particular relationship that is not being provided. How do you, that is a topic I would like to know. How does one partner communicate that to the other partner? Of course, without making their partner feel that they are comparing. Because comparison now can hurt egos. Comparison can hurt egos. So you may want to say, boy, I have this preference, but then the partner would say, also that man was doing that, and you trying and say he better than me. You know what I mean? So how do you safeguard the partner's ego, but you want to say that is what you prefer?
And let's make it a little more real. If allow ourselves. So you may have come from a relationship where something like anal sex is accepted with another partner because you enjoyed it, but the new partner that you meet is totally against it, or don't feel comfortable doing it. How do you meet that person halfway? Subjective again. You see,
you must go deeper.
You must
Go deeper. Yeah.
You must sit down and say, all right, you know what? Maybe I'm a man and I don't want to have inner sex with you from a physiological point of view. But if you enjoy it, let's say we buy a toy.
Mhm.
So you try to make the person halfway.
Mhm.
That when and if you want it, I can. But it's
Mhm.
not everybody's comfortable with that.
Right.
Yes, and as I tell you, when it comes,
Yeah.
when it comes to sex and sexual activities and socialization, it's not just a general discussion. It's a discussion that sometimes homes down onto the subject that is in front of you.
Mhm.
So there's not really a generic thing that you can just give that's gonna fit everybody. It would have to be on the person in front of you and how does me and my husband bridge that gap, or I have a better orgasm when we are in anal sex and when I have vagina penile sex.
Mhm.
When my husband comes from a spiritual background, and for him,
So
I
no.
don't see it that way.
Mhm.
And you see how important I tell couples, even if you go to your faith-based leaders for counseling before you get married, there are situations where you need objective professional voices
I agree.
that will guide you just a little better.
I agree with that.
I will always say that anytime somebody says to me they're going to get married, and listen, it's okay to go to your faith-based leader, but also seek a counselor for a few sessions just to see where you are, because those things can make or break relationships.
But Lester,
Hmm.
in your experience, I mean, you've done a lot of work in terms of sexual health. Have you ever had the opportunity to speak to spiritual leaders relating to sexual health and families and relationships?
Mm.
Because maybe two, they might be a little myopic in in the information that they have or their thinking, or they can be very prejudicial merely just based on the BIBLE, and that's all they see. And because based on what you're saying to me, there's so much that it's like every relationship should be kind of defined or characterized by what the couple, what the unit desire. It should not be based on what society
That's it.
defines for them, because that's kind of what I'm picking up from what you seem to be
Beautiful
saying.
point. That's it.
You have to make your own relationship. I see we have a caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling. Good morning,
Good
caller.
morning. Good morning, Mr. Carlton.
Good morning to you, miss. Good morning.
I was just saying about a lady I knew. She was very she's not promiscuous.
Are you there? Your phone seems to be giving some
Yes,
problems. I'm not too sure
second
where you're
time
calling
she's cutting
from,
off.
but your phone seems to be giving some issues. We're sorry about that. Yes, Lester.
Yes, so yes, and I wish, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I wish that this conversation can have. I've had them in a more open discussion. I've been to regional meetings and so on, and you meet some more open-minded faith-based leaders. But I've not had that privilege with faith-based leaders here in Dominica. Although there's a few pastors I know that are very good friends of mine,
Mm-hmm.
and we do have those type of conversation, but having it in a more formal setting, we've not been privileged with that, unfortunately. And but that is important, and I keep telling them, I keep saying that to leaders when you have conversations with your congregation. These are some of the things that you have to make sure that you bring up, so they become aware of it, and they can even seek the help on their own if you don't want to guide them, but they don't need it. Because if somebody believes having less than something like anal sex with their wife, categorize them as a homosexual or whatever, they will never shift that.
Yes.
That won't be shift, because that's a core belief of their own.
Mm-hmm.
But she may have come where it's not everybody that born and grew up in the church.
True.
She may have found the Lord when she was 26 after life had been difficult for her, and she found the Lord. But a physiological pleasure and acceptance doesn't just change just because she found the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
You get my drift?
Yes, we have a caller. Good morning to you, caller. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good morning. I've been trying to get you for the longest while, Mr. Landon. Every time this phone is being disconnected, I don't know what's wrong.
Yes, your phone, it would seem to be on your end, but let's go on. Thank you for calling again.
Okay. So are you hearing me?
Yes, we are hearing you clearly.
Okay, can I go ahead?
Yes, ma'am. You can go ahead.
Okay. I'm saying,
Yeah, your phone. I don't know where you're calling from, but your phone, there seem to be some issue with your phone. You may have to call your provider to let them know what is happening with your phone, but it drops out at all times. Sorry about that. Mhm.
Okay, so I don't know. It's something that I wish I had the opportunity to do more of. Having those type of conversations and getting their feedback too, and trying to clarify things. with them.
Right.
In fact, I was in a training last week and we had this whole discussion, and it gives an opportunity for clarification too.
Mhm.
Once you're in the room, we can clarify some of the things that's not so clear in your mind and put context to it. Because sometimes we don't contextualize things that are in front of us. We just see it from face value. But when you place context to it, when I tell you there's a young woman who has been sexually abused and she's struggling to have an orgasm with her husband, and for you to probably respond and say, well, it's God's will that sooner or later she will. No, it doesn't happen that way.
That's ignorance.
It
That's
doesn't
ignorance.
happen that
Yeah.
way.
That's ignorance. It's
You
like,
may have to dive a little deep
true.
because she may always be guarded when she's having sex because that's what she remembers.
Mhm.
How do you get her to relax a little and know that you're in a safe space with your husband who cares about you, who's not planning to hurt you,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
let just a little
Right.
Mhm.
to see how you can have that experience.
But then the
So
other
that's
thing too
different.
is that, and that's where you come in as a psychologist. Has this individual forgiven herself?
Thank
You
you.
see, and that's where it's not just forgiving the perpetrator, but forgiving
Forgive
herself. In that situation and looking beyond,
Mhm.
healing. Because now a lot of people now talking about you're looking for somebody that's emotionally healed when you're looking for as a prerequisite in forging a relationship, not just about somebody that's educated, but somebody that is emotionally healed. Because every one of us would encounter scars as we live, but it's how do you deal and how have you healed yourself from these scars? And that's important. But because we're about to close, I want to ask you, though, maybe just summarize for us what are some of the prerequisites or the ingredients that actually makes good sex.
Okay, so good. Sexual compatibility,
Mhm.
right off the block. If you're not sexually compatible to someone, you're maybe not going to enjoy sex with them. Good. If you are emotionally involved with someone, it means that you're giving of yourself a lot freer,
Mhm.
or freely, I should say, in that situation. So it's more likely that all your inhibitions will be dropped because you're comfortable with that person. You're going to enjoy. You also have to take into consideration the communication is right up there. What works for me, let me know what works for you. I will tell you what works for me.
Mhm.
So we can get at a compromise or we can meet each other at a level.
So in a sense, it's like it cannot be a bias. It has to be an
It
objective,
has to be an objective.
no holds barred communication.
Yes.
Right.
There's also the aspect of if you want to have good sex with your partner, there's nothing wrong with picking up a book or researching things that you would like to do and how it will affect your relationship.
So broadening your
You
knowledge.
cannot go wrong with knowledge. You cannot go wrong with knowledge. Yeah. And then the other thing is, well, if you give freely, you will receive freely.
Reciprocity.
Reciprocity. That's it.
Yes.
I mean, I can go along into a lot more little detailed things, but
Mhm.
generally, these are some of the things that makes, because I'll see you and I'll be sexually attracted to you. Somebody has up on their status, they're saposexual.
Knowledge, the brain
Right.
is the
It's a thing.
attractive
So a man who comes
feature.
to speak with them and the person is knowledgeable is a turn on for them already.
Yes. Yes.
You understand? Somebody you can also, yes, Carlton, and that one is probably a little more generic, knowing the love language of your person.
I'm hearing that because I look at the show, Pop the
Yes.
balloon or whatever it is, and there's so much things you learn, and this love language thing is coming
Yes,
up a lot. They
it's
ask you
key.
each other,
discussed it
what's your
before.
love language?
It's physical touch, if it's
Yes.
acts of
Yeah.
service,
Yeah,
if it's,
yeah, yeah.
yes.
So
Give-
that's-
let me give just a little bit of just before we end.
Yes.
So one of the things that I learned growing up as a young man, and good, if you can get women to smile and laugh, it makes them drop the guard. So when you punch in, when you give a punchline, it's a lot easier for them to accept your punchline because they're relaxed. Same thing with sex. Once you make the person feel comfortable and safe, where they can drop their inhibitions for you just a little, even in a sexual act, will be a lot better.
Good
Well, I
advice.
suspect we need to have part two.
Yes. But let's say you made some good points and you gave two national, I'll call them national calls. And I know we have a big listenership, so I do hope that they are heeded. One was for parents or institutions that want you to speak to children or to speak to the parents themselves about having a conversation, how to have this conversation about sex and sex education. Reach out. So you made that call and I hope people heard it.
Yep,
You
I
gave
made
your
that call,
numbers
and I hope
and
they
you
took it.
you're right. And you also made a call for the religious leaders that you can have conversations with them. And I think those are two very nationally important things
I agree.
that if they can happen and if we can continue this sort of conversations, yes, with the religious leaders, yes, with parents and school leaders as well, then we would have a better dynamic as it relates to communicating about sex.
I'm always open to it.
Man, Lester, we want to thank you so much for being our guest this morning. Very real. Again, Lester, give the listeners your contact business number for those who may be seeking counseling. You may want to have that professional conversation. It comes with a cost. Nothing good is free, and you want to make sure that you are paying your money and you're getting value for money. And so Mr. Guy is, as I said, he's a health psychologist, and he can give you counseling if you require. So that's just
So great. So my office number is 266-5813, 266-5812, 266-5915, and 266-5914. That's the National HIV and AIDS Response Program. You can call us during the hours of 8 and 4. You must get someone. Just ask for Mr. Guy. My personal number is 265-9108. You can call me at that number at any time. You can send me a WhatsApp message. I will always respond to you. And you can also send me an email to my business email address, which is glpsycho@gmail.com. glpsycho.sup@gmail.com.
Correct. And people
Thank
have
you very
reached out to me in the past and said they wanted counseling for couples, and I've sent them your contact. So
Yes.
I know people, if you don't catch the numbers but you want to ask Carlton or I,
Yeah.
if how to contact Lester, we will guide you.
Definitely.
Mhm.
So again, it was our pleasure bringing to you this episode of Health Vibes. We know that it was a bit sensitive, but again, it is our responsibility to bring and cover all aspects of health and
Of
wellness
course.
to you as a populace. So from all of us here, as always, we say to you, your health is indeed your greatest resource. Preserve it. Have a good morning, everybody, and continue to enjoy the rest of the week. Andy, bye-bye.
Who
Goodbye.
say health cannot have vibes? Well, Jolly's Pharmacy is proving you otherwise. With Health Vibes, every Wednesday morning on Q95 from 10 a.m. to 11:30.